First contact gone wrong. Supreme Admiral Kexlar of the Vraxian Empire stood motionless on the command deck of the Stellar Dominance, his crystalline eyes fixed on the massive holographic display before him. The vessel that had appeared at the edge of the Helios sector defied everything the Vraxians understood about spacecraft design. While Vraxian ships were elegant crystalline structures that reflected the mathematical perfection of their civilization, this vessel was all sharp angles and utilitarian purpose, with massive engine ports that pulsed with an energy signature unlike anything in their database. Status report, Kexlar commanded, his secondary breathing vents flaring slightly with anticipation. First observer Vectrol's fingers danced across the biomural interface. The vessel appears to be approximately 1.2 kilometers in length. Supreme Admiral. Energy readings are unstable. Our sensors cannot maintain a consistent lock on their power source. They appear to be using some form of reality warping drive system. Reality warping. Kexlar's crystalline fragments shifted in what passed for a frown among his species. Impossible. No civilization has successfully harnessed quantum manipulation for propulsion. The energy requirements alone. Sir, Vectrol interrupted, breaking protocol in his excitement. They're broadcasting. The holographic display shifted, and Kexlar found himself face to face with a being that sent involuntary shivers through his crystalline matrix. The creature was bilateral, with soft pink flesh and fur concentrated at the top of its head. But it was the eyes that caught his attention. Predatory, forward-facing, and filled with an intelligence that seemed to pierce right through him. This is Captain Sarah Martins of the United Earth Federation vessel Hyperion. The creature spoke, its words automatically translated by the ship's linguistic matrix. You have entered restricted space. Please identify yourself and state your intentions. Kexlar's crystalline structure vibrated with amusement. The audacity of this unknown species to claim sovereignty over Vraxian space was almost admirable. I am Supreme Admiral Kexlar of the Vraxian Empire. You are in error, creature. This sector has been under Vraxian control for 12,000 cycles. Your presence here is a violation of Imperial law. The human's expression remained unchanged. I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. Supreme Admiral, the Helios sector was chartered and claimed by Earth 3 years ago. We have established colonies and mining operations throughout this region. Our claim has been registered with the Galactic Commons. The Galactic Commons. Kexlar's crystalline structure flickered with genuine surprise. We do not recognize their authority. The Vraxian Empire stands alone in its glory. You will power down your vessels and prepare to be boarded. Your technological achievements are interesting. They will be studied and added to the Empire's knowledge base. Captain Martinez's expression hardened slightly. Supreme Admiral, I am authorized to inform you that any hostile action will be met with appropriate force. We would prefer to resolve this diplomatically. The United Earth Federation is always open to discussing mutual cooperation and trade agreements. Kexlar signaled to his weapons officer. The Stellar Dominance's crystal matrix began to hum as its primary weapons charge. Your preference is noted, but irrelevant. The Empire does not negotiate with lesser species. This is your final warning. Very well, Martins replied, her voice carrying a note of resignation. For the record, we did try diplomacy. The transmission cut. Their weapons systems are powering up, Vectrol reported. Sir, I'm detecting energy signatures unlike anything in our database. They appear to be charging some form of... Wait, that's impossible. What is impossible? Kexlar demanded. They're creating localized distortions in spacetime, hundreds of them. Small, but... The universe seemed to twist around them as the human vessel opened fire. What appeared to be conventional projectiles warped reality itself as they traveled, creating micro-singularities that bypassed the Stellar Dominance's crystal lattice shields completely. The impacts weren't explosive. They were worse. Wherever they struck, matter simply ceased to exist, replaced by tiny pockets of distorted spacetime. Shields ineffective. Vectrol's usually calm voice carried an edge of panic. Hull integrity compromised on decks 3 through 7. Sir, they're not trying to destroy us. These are warning shots. They could have targeted our core systems, but they're deliberately hitting non-critical areas. Kexler's crystalline structure vibrated with a mixture of fear and fascination. In 12,000 cycles of Vraxian expansion, no species had ever demonstrated such capability. Their drives bent reality itself. Their weapons created localized singularities, as if physics was merely a suggestion. And most disturbing of all, they showed restraint, the mark of a truly confident military force. The human vessel's transmission resumed. Captain Martinez's expression was unchanged, but her voice carried steel. Supreme Admiral, shall we discuss those diplomatic options now? For the first time in his long career, Supreme Admiral Kexler of the Vraxian Empire found himself facing a species that didn't need to be negotiated with from a position of strength. The Empire had finally met its match, and the implications were both terrifying and exhilarating. The age of uncontested Vraxian dominance was over, and a new chapter in galactic history was about to begin. The battle that changed everything. The Vraxian War Council chamber aboard the Stellar Dominance hummed with agitated energy as crystalline forms shifted and sparkled under the artificial light. Supreme Admiral Kexler faced the projected images of his 5 most senior commanders, each connecting from their respective flagships. The humans have rejected our final ultimatum, Kexler announced, his crystalline structure pulsing with dark energy. They persist in their claim to the Helios sector and have further demanded we withdraw our forces entirely. Such insolence cannot stand. Battlemaster Rixtel's hologram flickered as she spoke. Supreme Admiral, with respect, perhaps we should consider their technological capabilities. The damage inflicted on the Stellar Dominance by a single vessel was merely a surprise tactic, Kexler interrupted. We have analyzed their weapons signatures. Our shield harmonics have been adjusted. The Empire will not bow to these soft-skinned creatures. He paused, his crystal matrix shifting to display battle plans. We will deploy the entire 7th Fleet, 30 capital ships against their reported 7. Let them witness true Vraxian might. The human response came faster than anyone expected. Long-range sensors detected multiple spatial distortions forming throughout the sector. The humans weren't waiting for the Vraxian fleet to arrive. They were bringing the battle to them. Multiple contacts. Vectrol's voice carried across the command deck. Human vessels emerging from inside their own spatial distortions. They're using their drive systems as weapons. The human ships seem to tear their way through reality itself, emerging from moons in spacetime at impossible angles. Traditional naval combat relied on two-dimensional thinking, with occasional variations in the vertical plane. The humans, however, appeared to treat spacetime itself as their playground. The UEF Hyperion led the charge, Captain Martinez's voice broadcasting on all frequencies. Vraxian fleet, this is your final warning. Stand down or face the consequences of your actions. Kexler's response was to order all ships to open fire. The void lit up with crystalline energy beams and plasma torpedoes, enough firepower to reduce a small moon to atoms. But the humans had learned from their first encounter. Their ships danced through the barrage, each vessel trailing what appeared to be small probes that created localized gravity wells, bending the Vraxian attacks away from their targets. When the humans returned fire, it wasn't just with their reality-warping projectiles. Each ship suddenly split into multiple copies of itself, quantum duplicates that confused Vraxian targeting systems. Impossible. Kexler's secondary breathing vents flared in frustration. They're using quantum superposition on a macroscopic scale. The battle descended into chaos as human vessels seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously, their quantum state weapons bypassing Vraxian defenses by attacking through multiple parallel possibilities at once. Ships that appeared to be destroyed would phase back into existence moments later, while others used their drive systems to create temporary wormholes, outflanking the Vraxian formation. Sir, Vectrol reported, his voice steady despite the devastation around them. They're not targeting our core systems or crew compartments. They're systematically disabling our weapons and propulsion. They're taking us alive. The realization hit Kexlar like a physical blow. The humans weren't fighting a war of annihilation. They were conducting what their military doctrine would likely call a police action, treating the mighty Vraxian Empire like unruly children who needed to be disciplined rather than destroyed. A new transmission cut through the chaos. This time it wasn't Captain Martinez, but a different human, wearing what appeared to be civilian diplomatic attire. Supreme Admiral Kexlar, I am Ambassador Chen of the United Earth Federation. I think it's time we had a proper discussion about the future of this sector and our species' relationship. Your ships have been disabled, but your crews are unharmed. We're prepared to begin rescue operations and medical assistance as needed. The command deck fell silent as Kexlar absorbed the full implications of what had just occurred. The Vraxian Empire, undefeated for 12,000 cycles, had just been systematically dismantled by a species that chose to disable rather than destroy, to capture rather than kill, and to offer aid to their defeated opponents. How? Kexlar finally asked, his crystalline form dimming with resignation. How has your species achieved such mastery over reality itself? Ambassador Chen's response carried a hint of a smile. Necessity. Admiral, humanity spent most of its history fighting itself, pushing the boundaries of physics and engineering in an endless arms race. When we finally reached the stars, we brought with us millennia of experience in warfare, but also the hard-learned wisdom of how to forge peace from conflict. We don't want to destroy you. We want to work with you. As rescue shuttles began appearing around his crippled fleet, Kexlar found himself reevaluating everything he thought he knew about power and civilization. The humans hadn't just defeated them. They had fundamentally changed the rules of warfare itself, and then chosen to extend a hand in peace rather than deliver a killing blow. The age of Vraxian isolation was over. A new era of galactic politics was about to begin, shaped by a species that could bend reality to its will, but chose to use that power with restraint. The real question now was, what other surprises did humanity have in store for the galaxy? Understanding the enemy. The diplomatic chamber aboard the UEF Hyperion was a study in contrasts. On one side sat the human delegation, led by Ambassador Chen, their soft forms nestled in ergonomic chairs. On the other, Supreme Admiral Kexlar and his senior staff stood in crystalline regeneration fields, their angular forms refracting the room's gentle lighting. Let me understand this correctly, Kexlar said, his translation matrix struggling to convey his mixture of disbelief and fascination. Your species developed quantum manipulation technology, not through careful millennia of evolution, but through what you call desperate innovation. Ambassador Chen nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the shimmer of the Vraxian's crystalline forms. Humanity has always been driven by necessity. When we discovered that our planet's resources were finite, we didn't accept extinction as inevitable. We broke through the barriers of physics itself. Captain Martinez, seated beside the ambassador, added, "Our first faster-than-light drive was built in a garage by a team of graduate students who refused to accept conventional limitations. They literally broke local space-time because someone told them it was impossible." The Vraxian science minister, Texivor, vibrated with what the humans had learned was incredulity. But such development should be impossible without proper evolutionary guidance. Our own mastery of crystalline technology took thousands of cycles of careful genetic modification and controlled advancement. Perhaps that's exactly why we succeeded, Chen suggested gently. We never knew it was supposed to be impossible. Humanity has a long history of achieving the impossible simply because we didn't know we couldn't. The diplomatic session was interrupted by an urgent communication. A holographic display materialized in the center of the room, showing a distant sector of space where reality itself seemed to be unraveling. "The quantum cascade," Kexlar whispered, his crystalline structure dimming. We've observed this phenomenon consuming entire systems at the edge of our space. Our scientists theorized it was a natural occurrence. Martinez leaned forward, her expression grim. It's not natural. We've encountered something similar before. Someone, or something, is deliberately destabilizing the quantum fabric of space-time. And it's spreading. The humans shared a meaningful look with each other before Ambassador Chen spoke again. Supreme Admiral, what we're about to share with you is classified at the highest levels. The reason humanity developed such advanced quantum manipulation technology wasn't just for space travel or military applications. We've been fighting a war that most of the galaxy doesn't even know exists. The holographic display shifted to show recordings from previous human encounters with the phenomenon. Entire planets vanished into quantum uncertainty, their very existence becoming a probability function rather than a reality. We call them the entropy collective, Martinez explained. They're not a species in any conventional sense. They're what happens when a civilization pushes quantum manipulation too far, becoming one with the uncertainty principle itself. They don't invade spaces. They convert them into quantum probability fields where conventional matter cannot exist. Kexlar's crystalline structure pulsed with new understanding. This is why your weapons create localized space-time distortions. You're not just fighting conventional enemies. We're fighting beings that exist in quantum superposition, Chen confirmed. Conventional weapons are useless against them. That's why we developed technology to manipulate reality itself. The abilities we demonstrated against your fleet were originally designed to combat the collective. The Vraxian science minister's calculations appeared as geometric patterns in his crystalline form. Your quantum duplicates, your reality warping drives. You're using controlled versions of their own weapons against them. Exactly, Martinez nodded. But we're losing ground. The collective is expanding faster than we can contain them. That's why we've been so aggressive about claiming and fortifying new sectors. We're not just building an empire. We're creating buffer zones, defensive lines against an enemy that most species can't even comprehend. Kexlar moved closer to the holographic display, his crystalline form reflecting the chaos of the quantum cascade. Why tell us this? Why share such sensitive tactical information with a species that was your enemy mere days ago? Ambassador Chen stood, approaching the Vraxian Supreme Admiral with measured steps. Because your crystalline technology might be the key to fighting them effectively. Your entire species exists in a semi-quantum state, your consciousness spread across living crystal matrices. You understand quantum mechanics not just as science, but as a fundamental part of your being. And your desperate innovation, combined with our evolutionary adaptation, Kexlar's form brightened with realization, could be the combination we need to stop the collective before they convert the entire galaxy into a quantum probability field. Chen finished. We're not asking for your help, Supreme Admiral. We're offering you the chance to save reality itself. The chamber fell silent as the implications settled over both delegations. The Vraxians had spent 12,000 cycles believing they were the pinnacle of evolution, only to discover that their supposed perfection had left them stagnant. Meanwhile, humanity's chaotic, desperate innovation had pushed them to develop weapons and defenses that the universe had never seen before. The Vraxian Empire has never accepted outside assistance, Kexlar said slowly, his crystalline form pulsing with complex patterns. But perhaps that is why we have never truly progressed. You offer us not just an alliance, but a chance to evolve beyond our self-imposed limitations. Ambassador Chen smiled. And you offer us the missing piece we need to save the galaxy. Sometimes the best solutions come from the most unlikely combinations. As the two species began discussing the technical details of their collaboration, a new chapter in galactic history was being written. The Vraxians would contribute their intrinsic understanding of quantum states, while humanity would add their relentless innovation and ability to achieve the impossible. Together, they would face an enemy that threatened not just life, but reality itself. The greater threat. The combined human Vraxian fleet hung in the void at the edge of the quantum cascade, a strange marriage of crystalline architecture and angular human engineering. The UEF Hyperion had been modified with Vraxian crystal matrices, while the stellar dominance now bristled with human quantum manipulation technology. Captain Martinez stood on her bridge, watching the swirling chaos of unreality before them. Supreme Admiral Kexlar's hologram sparkled beside her, his crystalline form already adapted to interface directly with the human quantum communications network. The collective's influence spreads approximately 3 light-years every standard day, Kexlar reported, his voice carrying through both traditional audio and quantum resonance. At this rate, they will reach the nearest populated system within 2 weeks. Martinez nodded, studying the sensor readings that now combined human quantum detection systems with Vraxian crystalline processing. The good news is that the integration of our technologies is working better than expected. Your crystal matrices allow us to maintain quantum coherence far longer than we could before, and your reality warping drives, when filtered through our crystalline structures, achieve much greater precision, Kexlar agreed. The question remains, will it be enough? The answer came sooner than expected. The quantum sensors suddenly flared with activity as reality itself began to twist and distort before them. The Entropy Collective had noticed their presence. Multiple quantum probability fronts forming. Vectrol's voice carried across both ships' command systems. They're attempting to convert this entire sector into a probability field. Martinez's voice remained steady as she gave the order they'd spent weeks preparing for. All ships, execute Protocol Schrödinger. Crystal matrices to full resonance. The human ships activated their reality warping drives, but instead of creating normal spatial distortions, the energy was channeled through the Vraxian crystal technology. The crystals began to vibrate at quantum frequencies, creating a harmonized field that spread across the entire fleet. Probability shield holding at 87%, Vectrol reported. The collective's conversion effect is being contained. For the first time, they could actually see their enemy. The Entropy Collective manifested as shifting patterns of quantum probability, regions where reality itself became uncertain. But where these patterns had once been unstoppable, they now crashed against the combined human Vraxian defenses like waves against a shore. Phase 2, Kexlar commanded. Deploy the resonance weapons. New weapons, born from the marriage of human innovation and Vraxian evolution, powered up across the fleet. They didn't fire traditional projectiles or energy beams. Instead, they launched crystalline structures infused with quantum manipulation technology. Each crystal was simultaneously a weapon, a probe, and a reality anchor. The effect was immediate and stunning. Where the crystals penetrated the collective's probability fields, they forced quantum states to collapse into certainty. Regions of chaotic possibility suddenly snapped back into normal space-time, trapped in crystalline matrices that could maintain quantum coherence indefinitely. It's working. Martinez's usually professional demeanor cracked slightly with excitement. We're not just stopping them. We're converting their probability fields back into normal space. But the collective wasn't defeated so easily. The quantum patterns shifted, adapted, tried new configurations of reality. Sections of the fleet began to experience temporal distortions as the enemy attempted to push their ships out of sync with normal time. They're learning, Kexlar observed, his crystalline form pulsing with rapid calculations, adapting to our combined technology. Captain, I suggest we implement the contingency plan. Martinez's expression hardened. Agreed. All ships, prepare for quantum crystalline resonance cascade. Synchronize your crystal matrices with the Hyperion's quantum core. What happened next would redefine the possibilities of space warfare. The human ship's reality warping drives synchronize with the Vraxian crystal matrices in a carefully calculated pattern. Instead of fighting the collective's probability fields, they began to create their own. Quantum crystalline network synchronized, Vectrol announced. Ready to initiate the cascade on your command. Martinez and Kexlar spoke as one. Execute. The combined fleet didn't just create a probability field. They created a controlled quantum environment where they could define the rules of reality itself. The Vraxian crystals maintained quantum coherence while the human technology manipulated it, creating a space where the collective's chaos could not exist. The effect spread outward like a wave of crystalline order, forcing quantum states to collapse into patterns they defined. Where there had been chaotic possibility, there was now structured reality, held in place by a network of quantum crystalline anchors. "The collective is retreating," Vectrol reported, his voice filled with awe. "They cannot maintain their probability fields within our quantum crystalline matrix." For the first time since the entropy collective had appeared, they had been forced back. But both Martinez and Kexler knew this was only the beginning. They had proven their combined technology could work, but they had also revealed their capabilities to an enemy that existed as pure quantum potential. The collective would adapt, evolve, try new configurations of reality itself. "Send the data to both our science teams," Martinez ordered. "We need to analyze everything we've learned and improve the system before they return." "They will return," Kexler agreed, his crystalline form shifting thoughtfully. "But they will find us stronger. Each encounter teaches us more about manipulating quantum reality. Each battle makes our alliance stronger." As the fleet began recovery operations, securing the reclaimed space with quantum crystalline beacons, both leaders contemplated the irony of their situation. It had taken a threat to reality itself to bring their species together, but in doing so, they had achieved something neither could have managed alone. The war for reality itself was far from over, but for the first time, there was hope. Humanity's desperate innovation, combined with Vraxian evolutionary perfection, had created something entirely new. A force capable of fighting chaos with ordered creativity, of defending normal spacetime from those who would convert it all to mere probability. A new dawn. 1 year after the first successful defense against the Entropy Collective, the combined Human Vraxian Research Center on Europa bustled with activity. In vast chambers maintained at near absolute zero, crystalline computers interfaced directly with human quantum processors, running simulations of probability fields and testing new methods of reality manipulation. Ambassador Chen stood before the facility's observation window, watching as human scientists worked alongside their Vraxian counterparts. Some humans had even begun incorporating small crystal matrices into their neural interfaces, while several Vraxians had adopted modified versions of human quantum manipulation technology into their crystalline forms. "Remarkable," Supreme Admiral Kexler said, his holographic form materializing beside her. "A year ago, I would have considered such cooperation impossible. Now I can hardly imagine how we function separately." "The latest reports from the quantum probability monitors are encouraging," Chen replied, bringing up a holographic display showing the galaxy. Areas once threatened by the collective's chaos now glowed with the steady light of quantum crystalline stability. "The containment network is holding. We've reclaimed nearly 30% of the space they had converted." Captain Martinez, now Fleet Admiral Martinez, joined them at the window. Her neural interface now sparkled with tiny crystal matrices, allowing her to process quantum probability calculations in real time. "The collective is adapting, though. Our long-range sensors have detected new patterns in their probability fields. They're learning to work around our quantum crystalline technology." As expected, Kexlar's crystalline form pulsed with what the humans now recognized as excitement, which is precisely why we've been preparing the next phase of our evolution. The observation window shifted its view to another chamber, where something unprecedented was taking shape. A new class of ship, one that was neither human nor Vraxian, but something entirely new. Its hull was composed of living crystal matrices grown around a quantum manipulation core, capable of not just traveling through space-time, but actively reshaping it. "The Genesis Project," Chen said softly. "The first true fusion of our technologies and philosophies." The prototype vessel represented more than just a technological achievement. It was physical proof that the strengths of both species could be combined into something greater than the sum of its parts. Human innovation and creativity, tempered by Vraxian precision and stability, had created an entirely new approach to existence itself. The latest simulations are promising. Martins reported, her crystal-enhanced neural interface streaming data directly from the research teams. The quantum crystalline ADA-core is stable, capable of maintaining coherence even in extreme probability fields. It doesn't just fight the collective's chaos. It imposes order through controlled uncertainty. A paradox that only our combined perspective could have conceived, Kexlar observed, using uncertainty itself as a tool for stability. An alert chimed softly through the quantum network. In a distant sector, the collective was attempting a new form of probability manipulation. But now, instead of panic, the notification was met with calculated response. Quantum crystalline beacons activated automatically, containing the disturbance before it could spread. They're becoming more desperate, Martins noted. Each attempt to break through our network is more aggressive than the last. They can sense that their time is running out. Perhaps that was always their nature, Chen suggested. A civilization that embraced chaos so completely that they lost the ability to understand order. They convert reality to probability because they can no longer comprehend existence any other way. Kexlar's form shifted thoughtfully, and in fighting them, we have learned to balance on the edge between certainty and possibility. My people once sought perfection through rigid evolution. Humanity once rushed forward with reckless innovation. Now we understand that true advancement lies in the space between extremes. The Genesis prototype hummed to life in its construction bay, its crystalline hull pulsing with quantum energy. It represented not just a weapon against the collective, but a new path forward for both species. Human crews would serve alongside Vraxian consciousness matrices, their strengths complementing each other as they explored the possibilities of existence itself. The collective sought to convert all of reality into quantum probability, Martins said, watching the prototype through both normal vision and her crystal-enhanced quantum senses. Instead, they pushed us to develop ways to master probability itself, to find certainty within chaos. And in doing so, they ensured their own obsolescence, Kexlar added. The galaxy is evolving beyond their understanding of reality. The future belongs not to those who embrace either chaos or order, but to those who can balance both. As the Genesis prototype prepared for its first test flight, Ambassador Chen reflected on the journey that had brought them here. A year ago, humans and Vraxians had been on the brink of war, each believing their way was superior. Now they stood together, their differences become strengths, their conflict transformed into cooperation. The entropy collective remained a threat, but no longer an existential one. Each day, the quantum crystalline network grew stronger, more adaptive, more resilient. The combined fleets of humanity and the Vraxian Empire worked in perfect concert, their technologies and tactics evolving faster than the collective could adapt. But more importantly, both species had discovered something neither had expected, a future brighter than either could have achieved alone. As the Genesis prototype rose from its construction bay, its quantum crystalline hull shimmering with possibility, it carried with it the hopes and dreams of two civilizations that had learned the greatest strength comes not from domination, but from synthesis. The war for reality itself would continue, but its outcome was no longer in doubt. In forcing humanity and the Vraxians to evolve, to innovate, to cooperate, the entropy collective had ultimately engineered its own defeat. The future belonged to those who could shape reality through understanding rather than chaos, who could find certainty in uncertainty, and who recognized that true power lies not in perfection, but in the endless possibility of growth and change.